Okay, hey everyone, I'm Keisha White, and I am founder and creative director at White House Branding Studio. We help companies create a lead generating digital presence and a standout brand that attracts more high caliber clients and opportunities. We are currently booking spots for this summer. So if you are interested in elevating your brand and your website, definitely click the link in the description with this video and we can chat about working together. So today I want to talk about four strategies or steps for building a compelling brand that will attract more customers. And when you are defining a brand for your business, you have to keep in mind that it's really a strategy that kind of goes hand in hand with your marketing, really. And the brand is like basically the foundation of your entire marketing strategy. And so you have to have a very strong brand, knowing who exactly you want to attract and what you want your business to represent. What perception do you want people to have? What are your goals that you want to accomplish in the business? And helping your solidifying what your brand is going to be will allow you to have much more effective marketing, because the branding and the marketing are going to work hand in hand. And when you're really clear on your unique company brand as well, this is what's going to help you stand out in the marketplace. Because as I always mention in these branding videos, the whole point of branding is to help your company stand out from all of the competitors out there. Because no matter what you pick to do these days for your specialty in your company, it's not new. Like there's a lot of other businesses that are going to be doing the same thing. And so the good thing about having a business is that we don't have to work with the entire world. We just need our select little group of people to say yes to working with us. And so this is where the power of branding comes in. You can use your brand to craft something very unique and something very special that's going to resonate with your target clients and really be like the top number one player in the market for your target clients. Like you don't have to get all the people, you just want to be the number one option for your people. So I'm going to talk about four quick steps for the branding process. So that way you can create a compelling brand that's going to captivate your target people, that's going to help your company stand out from the crowd, and that's going to help you ultimately reach your business goals, because your marketing is going to be a lot more effective. So the first step in branding is to first be clear on your brand values. And so your brand values are the core beliefs that your company stands for. They are basically the beliefs or the feelings, behaviors that your company is going to engage in, that your company is going to represent. So some brands, they may maybe really value diversity and inclusion. So they are going to show that in the way they market their products. Like an example of it, I love a beauty brand, but an example of it is with Fenty Beauty. That's a makeup brand, and it was created to be more inclusive when it came to different skin tone shades. Because one of their values is inclusivity and having a makeup shade that's going to fit everyone. So they exude their brand values in the way they create their products. And then some companies, maybe they value like activism or something like that. And so an example of that all the time that I'm always talking about is the way Ben and Jerry's does it. They make ice cream, but as we all know, the activism piece is a huge part of their company. And so they show their brand value of activism and advocating for people in just the causes that they link their business to. And then some brands may value sustainability. This is more so if it's like a product-based brand. So maybe they are trying to be careful about where do they source their meats, or are they using certain types of food that was grown on a certain type of farm in a more sustainable way? Are they conserving water in the way that they manufacture their products? So brand values are something that you have to be clear on about your company, and you have to think, what do I want my company to stand for? What do I want my company to represent? And then you start to think of actions that you can take in the company that's going to bring those values to life, and that's going to show off those values. And then another one that for more businesses on the service-based side, some service-based businesses, you may see them really valuing their client experience. So they may do something very special for their clients. Like maybe they have some type of welcome gift or something where they go above and beyond when people hire them for their services, like things that maybe they aren't required to do, but they just do that little special touch because they value client experience. So they add a little something extra to make their clients feel very special and very valued by working with them. And then some other service-based businesses, sometimes they align with certain causes too, like nonprofit causes or philanthropic causes as well. So sometimes you see that where they may align with like an organization like Pencils of Promise or something, like a percentage of profits may donate to charity. So by working with this particular service provider, some of the profits that they earn are going to go towards charity because they care about that cause. So anyway, so whatever it is that you value at your core and that you want your business to represent through brand values, take some time to really get some clarity on that. And then make sure you are very intentional about allowing that to come through in how you do business and in what your company essentially is going to represent. And then the second step is creating a unique brand personality. So the brand personality piece, I love this piece because the personality aspect of a brand is a lot of times how I really get a lot of my inspiration for designing for a brand. And so when you're starting to figure out what makes your business unique, this is particularly if your company is still really small and you're kind of crafting it around you as the founder and what's special about you, and you want that to come through. And it could also be if your company is larger too, like even larger companies can kind of take on a certain brand persona per se. And so you want to know what is your unique brand personality and make sure you really, really embrace that. And so a common way of doing this is something called brand archetypes. And there are 12 brand archetypes. The first one is the Sage, which is a brand that's very wise and like very understanding. The second one is the Explorer. This is a brand that kind of values like freedom and adventure. Outlaw personality is a brand that kind of is like the rebel, the liberator type of personality. Another brand archetype is the Magician. So the Magician may value being mystical or kind of some kind of mysterious power. And then there's a hero brand that almost reminds you of like the superhero, the rescuer type of personality. There's the Lover brand, the brand that's can be a little more feminine, kind of loving, kind of soft, warm. And then there's the Jester brand archetype, which is the humorous, witty one. That one values fun and enjoyment. And then there's the everyday, every man or every woman brand that kind of is that girl next door. I connect with anybody and everybody because I'm just a cool girl next door, guy next door type of brand. And then there's the Caregiver brand that kind of has a almost parent aspect to it. And then there's the Ruler archetype that is like a brand archetype that's a little more controlling, I guess, or they're kind of giving more structure, or they're kind of more of a leader type of brand, if that makes sense. And then there's the Creator brand. Those brands tend to be really innovative, really creative, kind of funky. And then the last one is like an innocent brand. So those tend to be like the brands that are kind of associated with baby products. And that kind of thing, they kind of have a connotation of this is safe, this is very sweet, this is innocent type of thing. And so those are just like the 12 standard brand archetypes. Like if you do a quick Google search of brand archetypes, you can kind of read over a description of each of those and start to think like, okay, which brand archetype or personality is my business aligning with? And then, of course, you can also do this by starting to think about your personality as the founder of your business and what's unique about you, what's special about you, what do you bring to the business that no one else is bringing to your industry, because we all have our own special sauce, as I call it, or our own flair. that we bring when we do business and when we interact with our clients, or when you're giving a presentation or you're delivering a workshop. Like, you're going to bring some type of personality and some type of special flair. So really take the time to define that, write that out, and really get clear on what it is, because this is valuable information for you to have, because you want this to, this is basically going to be information that you can use as you're developing your marketing copy. So as you're writing copy for marketing, like if you're a brand that really values that sense of adventure, like you may want to tailor your website copy to make sure an adventurous tone or like an adventurous type of message is going to shine through your website copy or even your social media copy. And then if you're a brand that is a little more witty and very humorous, and maybe you are very witty and humorous in person, like when you interact with clients, but when you are talking about your business online, or maybe you're talking about your business on your website, none of that humor comes through, then that's a mistake, because you're not allowing that brand personality to shine through on the marketing side like it does in person. So this is why it's crucial to get clear on like what's your unique brand personality. Then you can infuse your website copy and your marketing copy with wit and with humor, if that's your brand personality. And that way you're going to stand out a lot more as you're promoting and as you're marketing your business. And this is also going to help you create a much stronger connection with your target clients, because you're going to give much more of a unique personality to the brand. And then another benefit of this too is that it helps me as a designer, someone like me, to come up with unique special design that's tailored to your unique business. So this way your brand and your business won't just be a cookie cutter cutout of just everything else in the industry, because I'll be able to understand like, okay, this brand has this kind of cool personality, and this is how I'm going to allow that to shine through in their visual design. And so that brings us to our third step for crafting a compelling brand to attract customers. And so this third piece is to develop consistent visual and verbal brand elements. So once you're clear on what your brand values are, like what you want your business to stand for, what you want it to represent, and you have clarity on the brand personality, what's that brand archetype that fits the best with your company and your business, you want to allow that to shine through in your visuals and then in your verbals. So the visual piece, this is your brand identity. So this is the piece that people think about oftentimes when it comes to branding. They think about the visuals. And so you want to make sure the values and the brand personality are shining through in the colors that are selected to represent your company, and in the logo design, and any symbols incorporated in the logo, and even in the photography, because photography tells a story about a business. And so you want to make sure everything that you're selecting is going to be telling the right story about your company and about your brand. And then you also want to make sure you're developing a distinctive voice and a distinctive tone in your messaging. So like I mentioned a few minutes ago with the brand personality, once you're clear on what you want that to be, your messaging should all be written to reflect that particular brand personality. So whether it's laid back, or whether it's wise, or whether it's adventurous, or it's witty and humorous, whatever the brand personality is for your company, your messaging needs to be written in a consistent tone to reflect that messaging, so that messaging can come across whenever somebody is discovering your business for the first time. And then one of the best ways to make sure that there is consistency with something like this is to go through a branding process with someone like me. I developed what's called a brand style guide. And in that guide, it's going to have all your recommendations in there for like, these are the colors that you should be using. These are specific shades. There's even some recommendations on messaging tone. I don't actually do the writing. If you want someone to do writing, I have vetted copywriters who I bring on to projects, and then they can do writing for you to make sure your website is written properly. But in the style guide, there is recommendations in there on your messaging and the tone that you should have that's going to align with your vision for with your values and your brand personality. So anyway, so the style guide is the best way. And then you want to basically use that style guide always explain it to clients as like assortment of ingredients that you can use to bake a cake. So all of your elements in the style guide, whether it's colors, it's fonts, it's tone of voice, it's an accent pattern, all of those things are the ingredients that can come together to create any marketing materials that you have for your business to ensure that there's going to be consistency. So all of those ingredients are going to be used together for your website. They'll be used together to create worksheets. They'll be used together to create a pitch deck. They'll be used together to create a capability statement. So whatever it is that's going to be representing your business in the marketing and even in the sales arena, anything that's going to be customer facing to help you draw in customers needs to go back to that identity style guide to make sure you're doing everything in a consistent way. And I see what business personality complements my public education. So that's going to depend on what you want to represent in the public education space. Off the top of my head, I could see the sage personality resonating really well there because the sage is just that wise, grounded person that is very understanding, that will tell the truth, that will be educational. So that one I could see aligning pretty well. But also if there's just something specific about you and what you do in the public education space, that could allow you to bring a different vibe to the space. So let's say you want to take a different approach in the public education space and you want to make it a little more, maybe you want to make it more creative. So you may take on the creator persona and then you may have a very unique brand, or maybe you have an innovative take that you're trying to bring to public education. And you're like, nobody's doing this in public education. I'm doing something new, something really cool, something innovative. So maybe you take on the creator persona because you're doing something unique. So hopefully that makes sense. So it could be a little bit of both, I guess, and a little bit like what's the standard personality for your industry and your arena. Or it could just be what do you want to bring to the industry? Like it's almost like an industry disruption. Like what are you going to bring that's not already being done in the industry or that's not very prevalent in the industry? And then you bring that personality to it and you embrace that. So I have one quick example to show for a case study to show the consistency piece in action when you are consistent with your style guide. And so when you have that clarity on how you want the business to show up. I'm trying to make sure I click, oh, here it is, the right tab. Then you have consistency in all the places that you show up when you have a guide to actually follow. So this is a case study for a client that I did a rebrand for. And so they are a consulting firm and they offer DEI consulting, workforce development, basically helping the workplace be more inclusive. I have the description down here, a national workforce and talent development firm. And so we worked together for a rebrand for their organization. And they really wanted a brand that was going to help them establish trust, stand out from the competition, and just capture the attention of decision makers. And so a lot of the adjectives that came up when they were talking about what they wanted the brand to represent, they said they wanted it to feel very hopeful. They wanted it to feel very innovative. And then bold was something that they wanted the brand to feel as well. And so this was the outcome that we came up with for that nice, bold, innovative look. There's a little piece of it on a presentation there. And then they also wanted it to feel very connected. Those are some of the adjectives that we were going after in this brand. And so this is a little copy of the mood board that we were going for. So like I mentioned a little earlier, imagery definitely has a bit of a meaning to it. And so for that kind of bright, innovative connection feel, I was going for a very modern workspace, and then the connection piece with these team members looking like they're in a collaboration. So we wanted very modern, very colorful workspaces to have that innovative, connected feeling. And then here's another example of that too, where you actually see some employees' faces there. And then for just bold, kind of modern office-related imagery was used as well. And then with the little triangle pattern that keeps coming up, The reason why we use that is because it was, of course, part of the logo. And then in their, what was it, in their kickoff call, their strategy session, we talked about, they had the strategy session with one of my copywriter at the time. And she was talking about what they wanted the brand to represent, and the word mosaic came up. So for me as a designer, I took that as like, okay, as a company that focuses on diversity and inclusion, I kind of started to think of diverse people as a bit of a mosaic. Like, of course, each person in the company is going to be different, but they all can come together to create successful outcomes in their departments and in their business. So I created these 3 different triangles in their 3 colors from their color palette, all in different sizes and different colors, to kind of represent like diverse employees coming together in like a unified space to represent just a diverse group of people working together, basically, is what this represents. This was done as an accent pattern for the business as well. Oh, and then for colors, the reason why these were picked. So yellow was actually one of their previous brand colors, but it represents optimism. So yellow representing that optimism and joy does fit very well with what they wanted the brand to represent, like with that hopeful for the future type of feeling. And then blue, of course, represents trustworthiness and professionalism. That's why that was picked. And then coral was added because coral actually represents being a bit unconventional and like a little bit of a feeling of innovation. So that was their little trifecta of their color palette here. And then the before and after, this was the website before. It was very, very plain, just definitely a ton of blue and white, mostly white. And then the after is over here to the right. What I did there with the new reimagined look with our nice triangles, our mosaic everywhere in the bold colors. And then to see the consistency in action, we also branded some other promotional materials for her. So the strategic alliances document was also branded in the same look as the website with the same elements. And then her speaker sheet was also branded the same way. The capability statement for her firm is also branded the same way. And then we even have PowerPoint slides. I don't have those in here, but yeah, so everything has a cohesive look, whether it's on their PowerPoints, on this capabilities deck, on her speaker sheet. It all has that vibrant, bold, innovative look that they wanted the company to represent. So this is the beauty of first getting clear on the values, then second, getting clear on the personality. Then third, you want to put it in your branding with a brand style guide, and then put it on all of your materials that you're going to put out to the world to represent the business. And then I have one more quick tip to share. Oh, I see. Thank you, Creator Sage. Sounds good. Yeah, it does. It depends on what you're bringing to the market. Because I just kind of named Creator randomly because you could be very witty and humorous. So maybe you want to bring fun and and like wittiness to the market. So the Jester could maybe be a thing to fit Creator. I mean, to replace Creator too. But definitely Sage because it's education. But as far as the more complementary archetype, that could be anything in the archetypes. But yeah, but definitely check those out if you search brand archetypes. It's a fun exercise. And I think there's even quizzes out there that you can take too that'll recommend a brand archetype if you search brand archetype quiz. So for our final tip is to communicate your brand identity to your target customers. So once you do all this stuff, make all this beautiful branded material with the right messaging tone on there. You know your personality, you know your brand values. Next, it's time to get that brand out there in front of your target clients. So of course, in order to do that, you want to make sure you're choosing the right communication channel or platform to reach your target clients. So depending on what audience you're going after, not every social media platform is going to make sense. Not every podcast is going to make sense. Even not every type of media is going to make sense. Maybe you don't need to do a podcast. Maybe you should do YouTube videos. So whatever it is, communication channel wise, you want to make sure you are doing a bit of market research on your audience and find out what social media platforms are they spending the most time on? What types of content are they consuming the most? to see, do you need to do video? Do you need to do podcasts? Or do you need to take it back old school and blog? And then you also want to make sure you know where you need to get featured, because certain even articles and stuff like that, a lot of companies love to be able to have features to show off on their websites, or just brag worthy features to sound more credible. But you want to be featured in the right places. Like, you don't want to just get featured anywhere or be featured somewhere where none of your target clients are going to see you. So you'll even also need to do some research on like what media and publications do my target clients consume and get information from. So this way you can be targeting those right communication channels to actually get in front of the right people. And then as you are doing your content or doing your marketing, you want to make sure your content is using consistency in any graphics that are created. Like, you want to go back to your style guide and make sure the graphics are created with the same colors. You want to make sure the messaging is in alignment in any of the captions that you write, or any of the materials that you write for a blog, or any of the videos that you create. And even if you create your own podcast or something like that, you want to make sure the guests that you're inviting are in alignment with your brand. Like, if you stand for something in particular, you don't want to invite somebody onto your podcast that stands against what you stand for. That's going to totally contradict everything and could cause an uproar with your audience. I've seen stuff happen like that online, like where people, I kind of see this more kind of in the politics side sometimes, where it could be a podcast / audience with one particular maybe political alignment, and they invite somebody on that is the total opposite, and the audience it doesn't go down well. So anyway, so when you are inviting guests into your space, whether it's a podcast or a video, or any guest blog post, or whatever for your business's content, always make sure anybody that you're bringing on is in alignment with your values as a company and that personality as well, and all of that. So that is pretty much it. Just making sure you're communicating with the right places, with the consistency, and then you're staying on brand and on message with the people you invite, the topics that you cover, the places where you go get featured at, getting featured in the right places, and all of that. So that is pretty much it for the 4 steps for crafting that compelling brand to attract more customers. I'm going to recap it again really quick. First step is to define your brand values. So again, the values are like, what do you want your company to stand for? What do you want your clients to think of, or customers to think of when they work with you? Do you want them to think like, that was a wonderful client experience, or that was a delight, I want to do that again, or wow, they really wowed me? Whatever it is that you want them to think of after they work with you, that's also a piece of brand values. So get clear on what are the values for your brand. What do you want to stand for? Are there any causes or anything you want to align the company with? And from there, then and then for values too, think of how you want to incorporate that and how you do business. Because a lot of times people start to think about brand values, but they don't like put it out there into the world. So make sure you have specific actions in place in what you are going to be doing in your business, whether you're like, again, the example of client experience, if that's a top high brand value, what are you going to actually do to deliver that high-end client experience to align with that value? Or if you value, I don't know, maybe you value helping more girls get into tech or something. So what organization could your company align with to help more women get into tech, or more girls? Maybe you align with Girls Who Code, and you're spend X amount of our dollars donating to an organization like Girls Who Code. Or even for the product-based thing, like with the Fenty Beauty example, again, if you value diversity and you make a product, you want to make sure it can serve a diverse array of people, making sure you have things that can serve people of all skin tones, if whatever you have is related to skin tones. Or it could be diversity in body type. Like sometimes companies have to expand their sizes sometimes to make sure they can be inclusive and serve people in different body types. So whatever it is that you need to do to make sure your values are coming through to the public, whether it's how you create your products, how you serve your customers, or even what causes you align with, make sure you are bringing the values to life and putting it out there in the real world. And it comes to life off of paper. It doesn't just sit on a document somewhere. And then the second piece is you want to create your define your brand personality. So that can be one of the 12 brand archetypes, or it could just be some special personality trait about you that you really want to come through and how you brand yourself and how your business shows up. And so I'm not going to go through all 12 again since we're at the end, but if you do want to see a recap of brand archetypes, you can always do a Google search of brand archetypes and what are the 12, and kind of read up on them and see which one aligns best with your brand personality. And this is super helpful because it helps craft your messaging strategy. It can help you craft your design strategy and like how do you want to create unique messaging and unique design that's going to be very unique and special in your industry versus just doing what everybody else is doing. When you are clear on your brand personality or archetype, then you can do something that's special to your business, and that's going to help you stand out. And then the third piece is developing those consistent visual and messaging elements. So this comes from your style guide. So you're going to want some kind of document like a brand style guide. Again, I create those for clients when they go through the branding process with me. And so the brand style guide is going to have like, what are those unique attributes about your business? What are some standout adjectives that you need to make sure is going to come through in your messaging? And then again, if you want someone professional to write your messaging, I have vetted copywriters who I partner with on projects, and then they actually write the messaging for you. And then you also are going to see in the style guide, what are your brand colors? What are your brand fonts? What's the recommended photography and imagery? Because all of those elements are going to be communicating about your brand personality and even the brand values as well. And so this is why it's crucial to get clear on personality and values first, because those are going to help guide everything visually when it comes to design. Because a lot of times people just randomly start picking stuff when it comes to design for their business, and they don't understand that everything that you're selecting when it comes to visuals for your business, they're giving off a certain type of message. So like if you just randomly pick a certain color, that color has a message when it comes to marketing psychology and color psychology. So if you're just randomly picking stuff on a whim, then you could be unknowingly giving off the wrong message. So you want to be clear on your brand values, your brand personality first, and then you go to selecting the colors and the fonts and the photography style. So this way, everything visual is going to show up in the right way to represent your business the way you really want it to be represented and to help you stand out and have that distinct, unique look. And then the fourth piece is getting that brand out there into the world, in front of your target clients. So you're going to want to make sure you choose the right communication channels to reach your target clients. So make sure you're clear on what social media platforms do you need to be targeting if that's a part of your strategy. What media publications do you need to be featured on? If that's a part of your strategy, you want to make sure you're getting featured in places that matter for the people that you want to meet or that you want to get exposed to. And then even the type of content you create, like what content is going to be consumed the most by your target clients. Like what are they most likely to consume? Are they podcast people? Are they video people? Do they like to read blogs? What type of topics are going to appeal to them? When it comes to your content topics, what type of guests are going to appeal to them if you start interviewing people. So just making sure the way you put your brand out there to the public, making sure it is in alignment with your messaging, the target clients that you want to attract, and it's in alignment with those values and that personality, so you can really, really stand out in how you market yourself. So that is it. And again, this really to me shows how branding and marketing go hand in hand, because if you want your marketing to be the most effective, you have to make sure you have a clear strategy around the brand, because if you don't, you're just going to be kind of, to me, this is when people tend to become a copycat and they just do what everybody in the industry is doing. And I don't know, that kind of thing. I've never necessarily been too caught up in that because I don't like following people anyway. But when you're just following other people in your industry, you're making yourself just blend in with a sea of options. And people, when they don't understand what makes people unique, they start comparing on price. So this is why I'm always saying, if you don't want to get into the price comparison game, like you want people to be valuing your service more or valuing what your company does more, then the key is the brand, like the brand and what makes you special, what is going to pull on people's heartstrings when they are comparing you to somebody else. That's the thing that makes people stop that whole price comparison thing, and that makes you stand out. And you miss that when you just do what everybody else in the industry is doing. And so sometimes when it comes to branding, you may feel like you're doing something that's unpopular or something that nobody else has tried or done, and you may start questioning it because that's what some people do sometimes as well. But that's the whole point of branding. It's not supposed to be like other people's brands. Like it's not supposed to be something that every other people in your industry are necessarily doing or saying. It's actually better when it goes against the grain a bit because that's gonna make you just way more compelling, way more standout, and it's going to make your marketing more intriguing on your journey as a business as well. So hopefully those tips were helpful for you. If you want to work together for branding and design, web design, make sure you click the link in the description with this video. And you can schedule a complimentary strategy session and we can chat about your business, your goals, like what are you trying to accomplish in the business, what target clients are you trying to attract, and then we can talk about a game plan for you for your brand strategy and then for your brand identity and for your website. So you have the whole trifecta to allow you to have a foundation for a strong brand that is going to stand out from the competition. And that's going to be with your business for years to come to support your marketing strategy as you grow as a company. So thanks so much for checking out this video, and I will be back for another one next week, and I'll see you in the next one.